It's a celebration.
1970s R&B gave us bands that could turn any room into a velvet-lit groove sanctuary. From horn-stacked funk to Satin smooth slow jams, these groups shaped memories that still echo today. And somewhere in the middle of our list, one legendary ensemble found new life on the road. But the band at the very top, their influence never stopped radiating. These are 12 R&B giants of the 70s, and where they are now.
Fresh as the summer breeze.
Number 12, Ohio Players, Fire, Funk, and Pure Attitude.
Something like this.
The Ohio Players stormed the 70s with a mix of rubbery bass lines, searing horns, and album covers that sparked just as much conversation as their chart-topping grooves. Coming out of Dayton, Ohio, they built their reputation on a tight stage show and a signature sound that blended jazz musicianship with arch R&B swagger.
Come on, somebody say ho!
By the mid-70s, hits like Fire and Love Roller Coaster made them household names, and their work with Mercury Records pushed them into crossover territory. One surprising chapter in their story involves the rumor-filled Scream on Love Roller Coaster, which turned into one of the wildest urban legends in music history, proof of how deeply their songs got into people's imaginations. And if you ever caught them live back in the day, you remember the heat, the flashing lights, the syncopated horn stabs, and that thick, sweet funk rolling through the room like smoke. Today, surviving members continue touring in various configurations, keeping the Ohio Players' legacy alive at festivals and classic funk tours. Their music has been sampled by everyone from Redman to the Chili Peppers, reminding a new generation where that groove first came from. And if you think that fire was hot, wait until you hear the silky magic coming up next. Number 11, the Bar-Kays. Resilience, reinvention, and unstoppable groove. The Bar-Kays' story begins with triumph, tragedy, and one of the most remarkable reinventions in R&B history. Formed in Memphis and originally signed to Stax Records, they first rose to prominence as Otis Redding's backing band. But after the devastating 1967 plane crash that claimed Otis and most of the group, the surviving members refused to let the music die. By the early 70s, the Bar-Kays had rebuilt themselves into a powerhouse funk outfit, pushing out hits like Shake Your Rump to the funk and soul finger with a bold, electrified energy that defined Southern soul funk. Their studio sessions were legendary, late nights, thick grooves, and a rotating lineup of some of Memphis's fiercest young musicians. They weren't just making songs, they were shaping the grit and swagger that became the heartbeat of 70s R&B. Fans who saw them live still talk about those concerts. The shimmering stage outfits, the synchronized moves, and that deep pocket rhythm section that could turn any venue into a sweat-soaked celebration. Today, the Bar-Kays continue to perform with a modern lineup led by original member James Alexander. They tour nationally and internationally, keeping their classic catalog alive while introducing their sound to younger audiences, discovering funk for the first time. Their legacy stretches across decades of hip-hop sampling and R&B inspiration, proving that true groove never fades. And if that Memphis fire warmed your soul, the next band brings a smoother, silkier kind of heat that defines slow jams for an entire generation. Number 10, the Stylistics, the falsetto that floated through the decade.
I'll never find the words, my love.
The Stylistics were the very definition of 70s elegance. Formed in Philadelphia, they found their breakthrough after connecting with producer Tom Bell and lyricist Linda Creed, two architects of the Philly soul sound. With Bell's lush arrangements and Creed's poetic storytelling, the group soared into the spotlight. Carried by the unmistakable falsetto of Russell Tompkins Jr., songs like Betcha by Golly, Wow You Make Me Feel Brand New, and Stop, Look, Listen to Your Heart turned every radio into a romantic sanctuary. Behind the scenes, though, their rise wasn't as effortless as those silky harmonies suggested. Studio sessions often stretched long into the night as Bell pushed for perfection, layering strings, horns, and vibraphone touches with meticulous care. And while fans heard pure magic, the group faced pressures of evolving lineups, label changes, and the challenge of sustaining such an iconic vocal identity. Still, you couldn't walk into a 70s living room, especially during cuffing season, without hearing their records spinning softly in the background. Fast forward to today, Russell Tompkins Jr. leads his own version of the Stylistics, continuing to perform globally with that same breathtaking falsetto.
There's a spark of magic in your eye.
Meanwhile, the official Stylistics lineup also tours, keeping the group's timeless catalog alive for new and longtime fans alike. Their songs remain staples of weddings, quiet storm radio, and soul playlists everywhere. If that felt like stepping into a velvet-lit slow dance, the next band takes us from romance to pure, foot-stomping celebration. Number 9. Kool and the Gang, from Jersey basements to global celebrations. Kool and the Gang started as a group of teenage friends rehearsing in Jersey City basements, blending jazz chops with the raw, street-level energy of emergent funk. By the early 70s, they were carving out their own lane. Tight horn lines, deep percussive grooves, and instrumentals that DJs and dancers couldn't resist. Tracks like Funky Stuff, Hollywood Swingin', and Jungle Boogie turned them into one of the decade's hottest bands, long before the pop crossover era most casual listeners remember. One of the most fascinating chapters in their story came when they reinvented themselves in the late 70s with the addition of lead singer James J.T. Taylor. Critics doubted the shift towards smoother R&B, but it paid off big, ushering in the ladies' night, Too Hot, and celebration era that made them internationally iconic. Behind the scenes, their studio sessions were famously disciplined. The Bell brothers insisted on precision, drilling arrangements until every horn stab hit like a beam of brass sunlight. If you ever saw them live in the 70s, you remember the vibe. Wide-brimmed hats, blazing horns, and a rhythm section so tight it felt like the floor itself was grooving. Today, Kool and the Gang continue to tour worldwide with a lineup that blends original members and new generations of musicians. Despite the passing of key founders like Ronald Callis Bell, the band's spirit remains unshakable, still filling arenas, festivals, and national TV stages. Their music has become a universal language of joy, sampled endlessly across hip-hop, dance, and pop. And if that dose of celebration lifted you up, the next group takes us deep into a world of lush harmonies and cosmic funk. Number 8. Earth, Wind, and Fire, Cosmic Funk, Spiritual Soul, and Everlasting Light.
I'd like to ask everybody in the house to stand. Everybody get on up on your feet.
Earth, Wind, and Fire didn't just make music, they created an atmosphere. Formed by the visionary Maurice White, the group fused R&B, funk, jazz, Afrocentric rhythms, and spiritual themes into something the 70s had never heard before. Their early years with Warner Brothers were experimental, adventurous, even a little risky.
Breathe so slowly into hearts of men who need.
But once they hit their stride with Columbia Records, everything changed. Suddenly, albums like That's the Way of the World and Gratitude were turning into cultural landmarks. Those horn lines cracked like lightning, Verdine White's bass danced like a heartbeat, and Philip Bailey's soaring falsetto sent listeners straight into the stratosphere. Behind the scenes, they were perfectionists. Their rehearsals were famously intense, Maurice pushing the band to blend precision with emotion until the sound felt celestial. And there were quirks too, like the way they incorporated Egyptian iconography, Afrofuturism, and cosmic imagery into their stage shows. Anyone who sat in a concert hall as the band descended from glowing pyramids or launched into Shining Star knows how transcendent those nights were. It wasn't just a performance, it was a spiritual event. Today, Earth, Wind, and Fire live on through touring lineups led by longtime members Philip Bailey, Verdine White, and Ralph Johnson.
Do you remember when it first started?
Though Maurice White passed in 2016, his vision still fuels their concerts, which continue selling out across the globe. Their songs are sampled by artists from Beyoncé to Drake, proving that their cosmic groove remains intergenerational. If that lifted your spirit into the stars, our next band brings the kind of silky tight funk that ruled dance floors from coast to coast. Number 7, the Commodores. Tuskegee talent, velvet grooves, and a superstar in the making,
He could sing a song. His heart.
the Commodores started as a group of Tuskegee Institute students who just wanted to jam, experiment, and make people dance. By the early 70s, their blend of funk, soul, and slow-burning ballads caught Motown's attention. And before long, they were opening for the Jackson 5 and stealing the show more often than anyone expected. Their early hits like Machine Gun and Slippery when Wet showed off their instrumental firepower, while later smashes like Easy and 3 Times a Lady revealed a softer, emotional side driven largely by a young Lionel Richie. One lesser-known story from their rise involves how they got their name. They literally flipped through a dictionary until they found something bold, commanding, and unforgettable. And once they hit the stage, they lived up to it. Dressed in glittering suits, moving in tight formation, and laying down grooves so deep they felt carved into the dance floor itself. Folks who saw them live in the 70s still talk about the way the horns pierced through the room and how Lionel's voice wrapped around audiences like warm sunlight. After Lionel Richie departed in the early 80s to pursue his monumental solo career, many thought the group would fade. But the Commodores pushed forward, touring steadily and scoring new hits like Night Shift, a heartfelt tribute to Marvin Gaye and Jackie Wilson that earned them a Grammy. Today, the modern lineup continues to tour globally, delivering a mix of classic Commodores hits and fresh arrangements that honor their long legacy. Meanwhile, Lionel remains a global household name, yet he often credits the band for shaping his sound and career. And if that blend of slow jams and funk got your memories flowing, the next group takes smooth R&B harmonies to a whole new level. If these legendary 70s R&B bands are bringing back memories, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It helps keep the groove alive for soul lovers everywhere. And don't go anywhere. We've still got 6 more timeless groups to revisit, including some surprises you might not have heard from in years. Number 6, the Isley Brothers. Family fire, genre shift and genius, and a legacy that refuses to fade. Few groups in music history have evolved as effortlessly, or as boldly, as the Isley Brothers. Born out of Cincinnati, the family band first made waves in the late 50s, but the 70s marked a reinvention that would shape R&B forever. Once they expanded into a six-man powerhouse with the addition of younger brothers Ernie and Marvin, plus brother-in-law Chris Jasper, the Isleys entered their legendary funk rock era. Albums like 3+3, The Heat Is On, and Harvest for the World turned them into generational icons. Ernie's guitar work, heavily inspired by Jimi Hendrix, who briefly lived with and toured alongside the Isleys, added a rock edge that set them apart from every other R&B act of the time. Behind the scenes, their studio process was famously intense yet familial. Long nights at their New Jersey compound meant stacks of analog tape. Chris Jasper on keyboards crafting thick harmonic textures, and Ronald Isley laying down lead vocals that could shift from tender falsetto to gritty soul preacher in a heartbeat. Fans who heard That Lady or For the Love of You in the 70s remember exactly where they were. Windows open, summer breeze drifting in, the record spinning like a slice of heaven.
Hey girl, ain't no mystery.
Today, the Isley brothers continue performing, with Ronald Isley carrying the torch as frontman well into his 80s, still gracing stages with unmistakable smoothness. Ernie Isley remains the group's musical backbone on guitar. They've collaborated with artists from Kendrick Lamar to Beyoncé, proving that their sound remains timeless, relevant, and influential. And if you think their longevity is impressive, the next group crafted harmonies so rich they became the soundtrack of Quiet Storm romance for decades to come. Number 5, the OJs. Canton's crown jewels of harmony, power, and social soul.
What they do, they smile in your face. All the time they wanna take your...
The OJs stepped into the 70s with a force that felt almost spiritual. Formed in Canton, Ohio, the trio had been grinding through the 60s with modest success. But everything changed when they joined forces with Philadelphia International Records and the legendary songwriting production team of Gamble and Huff. Suddenly, their sound exploded into richly orchestrated soul, pairing velvet harmonies with a message.
I get so shook up, I don't know what to do.
Songs like Backstabbers, Love Train, and For the Love of Money weren't just hits. They were reflections of the era, capturing the joy, the struggle, and the hope pulsing through Black America in the early 70s. What many fans never knew was how rigorous their studio sessions were. Eddie Levert's raw emotional lead had to weave seamlessly with Walter Williams's rich baritone, and producers didn't stop until every note carried weight. The arrangements were massive. Strings, horns, percussion layers, so detailed that engineers sometimes worked overnight just to lock in the perfect mix. And when the OJs hit the stage, pure electricity, matching suits, precise choreography, and harmony so tight they felt carved from marble. Today, the OJ's story stands as one of survival and brotherhood. Though the classic lineup has changed and the beloved members like Sammy Strain stepped away, Eddie Levert and Walter Williams continued performing together into the 2020s.
Not only good looking, the girl was so smart.
In 2023, they announced a farewell tour, closing out more than 6 decades of soul with grace and gratitude. Their music still echoes across movie soundtracks, soul radio, and Sunday cookouts everywhere. If that dose of Philly soul stirred your heart, the group coming next helped lay the blueprint for the entire Quiet Storm movement. Number 4, The Spinners. Detroit polish, Philly soul magic, and harmonies that floated like satin. The Spinners spent much of the disco to 60s at Motown, recording solid material, but never quite breaking through the label's stacked lineup of stars. Then came the turning point hit, a move to Atlantic Records, and a partnership with producer Tom Bell, one of the masterminds of the Philadelphia soul sound. Overnight, everything shifted. Suddenly their voices were wrapped in lush strings, warm brass, and arrangements that felt like stepping into a candlelit lounge. With tracks like Could It Be I'm Falling in Love, I'll Be Around, and Then Came You, their duet with Dionne Warwick, the group became one of the defining sounds of the 70s. Behind those dreamy harmonies, though, was relentless dedication. Lead singer Philippe Wynne pushed himself intensely during recording sessions, improvising lines, ad-libbing in ways that producers sometimes didn't know how to even write down.
Hand me down my walking cane, hand me down my hat.
He carried that same energy onto the stage, where he'd glide, spin, and beam with the kind of charisma that made every concert feel personal. Fans who caught the Spinners in their prime still recall the matching suits, the soft glow of stage lights bouncing off polished shoes, and those harmonies weaving through the air like velvet ribbons. As for today, the Spinners continue performing through an official touring lineup that honors the group's classic sound. Though we've lost legends like Wynne, Bobby Smith, and Henry Fambro, who retired as the last original member, their legacy remains strong. The group was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2023, cementing their place among soul's immortals. Their songs remain staples of Quiet Storm radio, late-night drives, and generations of love stories. And if you think that elegance was something special, the band coming next brought a smoother-than-silk sophistication that reshaped R&B forever. Number 3, The Whispers. Twin harmony, silky grooves, and a brotherhood built to last. The Whispers were already seasoned performers when the 70s rolled in. Formed in Los Angeles and anchored by identical twins, Walter and Wallace Scotty Scott, the group spent years grinding through clubs, talent shows, and regional stages before landing bigger opportunities. Their early work with Soul Clock Records set the tone, but it was their partnership with Dick Griffey and Solar Records that launched them into core R&B stardom.
I might as well get over.
By the late 70s, songs like And the Beat Goes On and Lady made them household names, blending velvety harmonies with smooth, infectious grooves. One of the most charming bits of Whispers lore is how the Scotts used their twin synchronicity on stage. Mirror image choreography, matching tuxedos, and vocal lines that intertwined so naturally, audiences swore they were hearing a single voice doubled. Studio engineers often joked that mixing the twins was both a blessing and a mystery, because their tones were almost indistinguishable. And anyone who attended their concerts in the 70s remembers the elegance, polished steps, soft lighting, and a kind of gentlemanly charm that set them apart from the flashier funk bands of the era. Today, the Whispers remain one of the longest-running R&B groups in history. Walter and Scotty Scott continue performing with original member Leeville Degree, delivering concerts filled with class, warmth, and the timeless sound fans fell in love with decades ago. They've embraced social media, released new music, and stayed deeply connected to their fan base. Their influence can be felt in modern R&B vocal groups and in any artist striving for longevity built on harmony and heart. If their satin smooth sound made you smile, the next band brought an entirely different energy, an explosive blend of funk, freedom, and infectious rhythm that still moves crowds today. Number 2, Parliament-Funkadelic, P-Funk. Cosmic funk, wild imagination, and a movement bigger than music. Parliament-Funkadelic wasn't just a band, they were an entire universe. Guided by the visionary George Clinton, P-Funk fused psychedelic rock, deep pocket funk, social commentary, and pure theatrical spectacle into something the 70s had never seen. Parliament gave us the refined, horn-heavy funk. Funkadelic delivered the raw, guitar-driven cosmic rock. Together, they reshaped the sound of black music and rewired the DNA of American funk forever. Albums like Mothership Connection, One Nation Under a Groove, and Maggot Brain weren't just records. They were sonic odysseys that transported listeners straight into another dimension. Behind the scenes, the creativity was chaotic, brilliant, and non-stop. Studio sessions often stretched from sunset to sunrise, with musicians swapping instruments, ideas flowing like water, and George Clinton orchestrating the madness with a painter's instinct. There are legendary stories of the Mothership stage prop, how it was built, how it nearly bankrupted the crew, and how audiences erupted when it descended, glowing and larger than life. Fans who witnessed P-Funk live in the 70s still talk about it the way people talk about religious awakenings. Flashing lights, wild costumes, soaring guitars from Eddie Hazel or Michael Hampton, and grooves so deep, the crowd moved like a single body. Today, the P-Funk legacy lives on through George Clinton and Parliament-Funkadelic, who continue to tour with a multi-generational lineup. Clinton, even in his 80s, brings an energy that outshines performers half his age. Former members have launched their own projects, and P-Funk's influence saturates modern music. Dr. Dre, Benembody, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, and countless others have sampled their work. They didn't just create songs, they created a culture. And if that cosmic funk blew your mind, just wait. Because our number one pick is a band whose legacy stretches across genres, generations, and decades. A group whose influence never stopped evolving. Number 1, The Temptations, evolution, endurance, and the unmistakable sound of Motown greatness.
You got a smile so bright.
By the time the 70s arrived, The Temptations were already icons. Born out of Detroit's electrifying Motown scene, they had conquered the 60s with silky harmonies, sharp choreography, and one of the most distinct vocal blends in music history. But instead of settling into nostalgia, the group reinvented themselves in the 1970s, pivoting into socially conscious soul and psychedelic funk with the help of producer Norman Whitfield. Albums like Cloud 9 and Psychedelic Shack cracked open new sonic territory, while Papa Was a Rolling Stone cemented them as boundary pushers capable of balancing grit, storytelling, and vocal mastery with the same elegance fans already loved. Behind the scenes, however, the 70s were a period of intense change, lineup shifts, creative disagreements, and the challenge of maintaining harmony both on stage and off. Studio sessions with Whitfield were famously demanding, sometimes stretching for hours as he pushed the group to deliver vocals that cut through the mix with haunting power. But the payoff was magic. Songs that captured the tension and triumph of the era, delivered through harmonies that felt almost superhuman. If you ever caught the Temptations live during their 70s tours, you remember the spectacle. Matching suits that shimmered under the stage lights, choreography tighter than a snare drum snap, and 5 voices moving like one unified heartbeat. It was elegance, power, and soul in perfect balance.
I'm holding you so tight.
Today, the Temptations carry on through longtime member Otis Williams, the last surviving original Temptation, who continues to lead the group on worldwide tours. Their legacy lives on through Broadway's Ain't Too Proud, countless film and documentary tributes, and a catalog still celebrated by fans young and old. Their music is woven into the fabric of American culture. From Memphis funk to Detroit soul, from cosmic grooves to Satin harmonies, these 12 R&B giants remind us why the 1970s remain one of the richest eras in Black music history. Thank you for joining us on this soul stroll through time. If you loved revisiting these legendary bands, subscribe to keep the groove alive and never miss our next stroll through R&B history. And when you're ready for more, click the end screen to watch our next video. R&B Greatest Bands. Where are they now? 12 bands from 1960s. Let's keep the rhythm rolling.